Hey folks, I am Jay. Welcome to Homemade Heroes. Today I am going to be your GM player and guide on a brand new adventure. But before we get into that, if you like what you see here today, please do all those YouTubey things and like, subscribe. It really does help a lot. Today I'm going to be playing the Obsidian Skull, a short adventure from Mike Shea's new City of Arches sourcebook. This book has just been shared on Kickstarter, so once you're finished watching the video, head on over there and get your one-click download preview of the book. And if you like what you see, then consider supporting the Kickstarter. The City of Arches is a sourcebook that can be used across many fantasy RPG systems. The default is Dungeons & Dragons 5e, but it is compatible with many other systems, and with a few changes to, say, ability checks, difficulty class, and monsters, you can make it fit in pretty much wherever you like. A quick thanks to Mike Shea for allowing me early access to the preview, and this has enabled me to bring you this short adventure today. But this isn't a review of the City of Arches, it's a solo actual play adventure video. So let's talk about the game rules, the characters, and then jump into the action. The Obsidian Skull is an adventure for 2 to 5 level 1 characters. And as I mentioned, I'm going to be using the Dungeons & Dragons 5e system, but I'm hoping that I might be able to use SoloDark to run one of the other adventures from this book once it is published. I'm going to be using SoloDark to help me GM this game. Obviously, I've had to read a little bit, as when you play solo with published adventures, you do need to do some pre-reading, but I've tried to just scan like a few details about particular areas and so forth, and haven't read it completely. SoloDark is going to provide an oracle that I can ask questions to, yes or no questions, with likelihood of particular odds, so very likely, unlikely, or even odds. And I'll be using that along with the prompts table to help give me direction through the game when I'm not sure about what the characters would do or what NPCs would do, or I need something to kickstart the creative process a little bit more. Part of SoloDark and SoloDark is a luck system. By exchanging a luck token, I am able to re-roll any roll that one of my PCs makes and take the new score. Each PC starts with a luck token at the beginning of the adventure, and they're able to get new luck tokens if they roll a natural 20. However, each PC is only allowed 1 luck token at a time. They can give their luck token to another PC though. I'm going to be using a group initiative system here, which essentially means that I'm just going to use a score from each group that's involved in a combat. So I'm going to look at the highest dexterity modifier in each group. I'm not going to roll it all. It's just going to be based on the dexterity modifier. I'm also going to be implementing morale checks. So that means that when enemies, a group of enemies reaches half its number, or a single enemy has half its hit points, they're going to have to roll a DC 15 morale check. If they fail, they flee. If they succeed, they continue to battle on. So what is the City of Arches? I'm going to read a little bit out of the preview to give you some background about the city. For thousands of years, the City of Arches has stood as a kind of citadel along the border between this world and others. Built on a location where the boundaries between planes and realms are naturally thin, the city was once a waypoint to hundreds of other locations in this world and beyond. With the tyrant who built the city long fallen and most of the portals his servants created having long since decayed, the City of Arches now appears like any other worldly city, serving travelers from near and far who seek its welcoming hospitality and bustling markets. However, many of those visitors also come in search of the mysteries that are the legacy of those older days, still hidden within the city, in the mountain above it, and in the endless depths below. At the same time, travelers from other worlds still sometimes stumble across the City of Arches by accident, beings who have stepped from their own worlds through one of the city's decaying but still functional portal archways. For most who walk its streets, the City of Arches is simply home. But below, above, and beyond the city lie ancient ruins, the shrouded mysteries of the site's ancient origins and relics of its past. That has really set the scene. Let's meet our characters, and then we'll jump into our game. This is Humble, a Furbolg druid. Here we have Etch, a kobold rogue. And finally, this is Plink, She's a musician, she would say, but her skills are more aligned with larceny and stealth. Alright, let's get into the opening scene. 3 people follow a street urchin along the edge of a cliff. A cliff with many doors leading to crypts. The street urchin had been given a coin by Rosalind Zesh to take the 3 figures to a crypt further along the cliff face. Etch, a male kobold with gleaming green scales, his face hidden deep in a grey hood, says, "Does anyone else think that it was a strange welcome to a city?" Plink, a Swerf Neblin dressed in riotously coloured clothing and elbow deep in a wicker basket containing artisanal cheeses and crackers, scented soaps, soft towels, and an invitation to the city's public baths, takes her arm out of the basket and crams what looks like an aged Gouda into her mouth, saying, "I don't know any soaps and such, carry on, but this cheese is to die for." Humble smiles at Etch, and to Plink says, "Plink, I think you know what he was talking about. He was talking about that request from Rosalind Zesh. I think that's what she said her name was. What kind of person asks newcomers to a city for aid in finding a lost spy and stopping a rabid cultist intent on drawing forth fiends from the hells to plague the city of arches?" She's interrupted by the urchin, gesturing towards a door, tucked into the otherwise vacant section of the Cliffs of the Dead, and scampers off with nary a word. "Why worry about it, Humble? You're starting to sound like Etch." She pokes her tongue at the kobold in question and continues, "So, are we going in, or are we going to stand here babbling all day?" And with that, she reaches up a hand and starts to push on the door. Humble and Etch both reach forward a hand, trying to stop Plink. But it's too late. She's already heaving on the door. Let's go ahead and roll a strength check to see if Plink is able to push the door open by herself. That is a 7, and her strength is not very high, so that is a failure. Plink strains against the door. "I can't move it. It's too bloody heavy. Etch, Humble, can you give me a hand here? I mean, we're going to do this, right? We came this way. We found this city. I mean, the question that comes to my mind in all of this is not what are the motives of Rosalind Zesh, but does Bylon the Beardless back in Deep Devil's Enclave know that there's a bloody great archway with a portal to the city of Arches right underneath his nose?" Humble and Etch, shaking their heads with wry amusement, get to the door and lend their strength to try and push the door open. "I suppose you're right, my friend Plink. We took on the job, so let's get it started, and then we can go take a look at those city baths that we have a coupon for. I'm curious about that indeed." So I'm going to roll with advantage here, as all 3 of them are pushing. All right, a 16 and a 4. So the 16 is a success. The door slowly creeps open, and this is what they see in front of them. A room lit by flickering torches. Towards the center of the room, barely lit from the light filtering in past the trio, looks like some kind of altar or raised stone surface. And struggling upon it is a small figure grappling with 2 larger adversaries. Now I'm going to roll to see if the characters recognize any of these figures based on information that Rosalind Zesh had given them about who it was that they were looking for. And in fact, the characters would know that they are looking for Quintus Harutos, a spy that Rosalind Zesh had lost track of. He was sent in to infiltrate a cult known as the Children of Abraxas, and is set on opening a portal to one of the levels of hell and bringing forth fiends to wreak destruction on the city of Arches. Rosalind is unable to turn to the Golden Knights, who would usually deal with such a matter, as she doesn't want rumours of the cult's activities to spread. This is all hush hush. So we're going to roll on the Oracle, and I'm going to give this even odds. While Quintus was described to them, the interior of the catacombs are still somewhat dark, and with the figure struggling on the top of the altar, it's hard to get a clear look. So let's see if anybody recognizes any of the figures. A 14. Okay, that's a success. Plink, darting in as the door opens ahead of the others, comes to a quick stop and says, I think that's Quintus. That's who Rosalind said us to find, right? Looks like he's in trouble. So before we decide what the trio's actions are going to be, let's look at a little description of the space they've just entered. Smouldering torches and shrouded iron sconces fill the crypt with dim light. The ceiling here is 15 feet high, with the crypt divided in half by a ceiling-high empty sepulchre and 2 tattered curtains. 2 broad stone altars stand in both halves of the chamber. So that's what we can see here on our map. And now let's see what our characters are going to do. I think that upon recognizing Quintus, Plink would call out and try to either distract or slow down whatever is going on here. Her voice rings out through the chamber. Hey, what's going on here? Stop right now. This is the Golden Knights. I think it's highly likely here that the 2 robed figures would react to her voice, particularly as she had mentioned the Golden Knights, which they would know as people from the City of Archers that this is the guardian force or the law-keeping force within their city. As Plink's words echo off into silence, one of the 2 robed figures turns, and upon seeing the trio standing near the doorway, draws a scimitar from its belt. The other, also drawing their scimitar, strikes Quintus on the head and charges towards Plink. Alright, here we have it. Straight into the action. So we have a combat situation. Let's find out what the initiative is. I know that Etch has the highest initiative with a +3 initiative modifier, so that's what these 2 robed figures need to beat. I'm pretty sure that they don't beat that, but let's just quickly check their stat block. They have a +1 to Dex, so they are going to be going second, with our trio of adventurers taking first position in initiative. And their positioning is going to be Etch first, Plink second, and then Humble last. I'm going to say that at this point, Quintus is dazed, if not unconscious, and so he is not going to take any active role in the combat right now. Etch immediately moves up alongside and past Plink, engaging the robed figure on the left. Unfortunately, because Plink is more than 5 feet away, he doesn't get a sneak attack added to his damage. But let's see if he hits first. That is a 9. 9 plus 6 hits. So now we're going to roll damage, which is 1d6 plus 4. That is a 1, unfortunately, but it's plus 4, so that's 5 damage. The half-orc, standing in front of Etch, stumbles to the side as Etch's curved-bladed sword, almost like a sickle, slices through the robe and into the flesh beneath. Ah! And that person is already bloodied. So I'm going to record the hit points and so forth over here on the side of the battle mat that I'm using, just using a dry erase pen. With that success, Etch mutters, "Plink, you should stay back. Don't get too close. See if you can attack from the back." It's now Plink's turn, and while Plink is a pretty charismatic person and eager to get up into people's space when she's interacting with them verbally, she is more of an archer than a melee fighter. So she decides to take Etch's advice on this occasion and drops back to unlimber her bow and start firing. Now with bow in hand and with a body, Etch's body, between her and that raging cultist, she takes a shot, and because Etch is in melee range within 5 feet of that orc cultist, she is able to add the 1d6 sneak attack damage to this attack. But let's see if she hits. Yeah, that's a 15, so that is going to hit even without her modifier. And we're going to roll 2d6 for this. That is 3 plus her damage modifier of 3, which equals 6. All of a sudden an arrow shoots past Etch's right shoulder, and feathers quivering, buries itself in the orc's chest. The orc looks surprised, looking down at the arrow, the fletching still quivering, as his eyes close and blood spatters out of his mouth. He slowly drops to the side, hitting the wall and slumping down onto the ground. Okay, we have our first kill. So if you remember from earlier, I mentioned that with 50% of the enemies killed, we are going to do a morale check. So I'm going to roll the d20, and then we are going to see if they get a 15, because 15 is the difficulty class here. They get a 2. Okay, that's terrible. So the cultist on the other side of the room, seeing their companion struck down, stops, looks at the trio. All of a sudden, she makes a break for the door. What a quick combat. That was fantastic. I think now the trio would move quickly over to investigate the sepulchre and Quintus to see if he is okay. Quintus, wearing clothes much like the figures that had been struggling with him, and also with a shaved head, stirs groggily within the sepulchre. Rosalind? Is that you? Humble responds, "No, it's not. This is... Well, I'm humble, but you don't know me. I mean, my name is Humble, and you still don't know me. But Rosalind, she sent us to get you out of this situation. I hear that you've been undercover. You infiltrated the children of Abraxas. Wait, what am I doing? Here, let me heal you." And with that, Humble is going to cast a healing on Quintus with the Cure Wounds spell, which is a 1d8 plus 4. That is a 7 plus 4, so 11 hit points. Quintus reaches up a hand to his shaven head and rubs a goose egg that is rising up where he was struck with the hilt of the scimitar welded by one of the cultists. "Well, I have to admit, while that bump still aches, I'm feeling a lot better. Humble, you said? Thanks so much for healing me and, well, for getting here in the nick of time. So you said that Rosalind sent you, right? Did she give any instructions? Anything to... I'm guessing she wants you to deal with Irvana Spellstar. She must be in one of the other rooms in the catacombs here. I don't know exactly where, but I did see some of them go through that door at the back." At this point, Plink shoulders through and, coming up to the edge of the sepulchre, looks up towards the still recumbent Quintus. "You got yourself into a bit of a mess there, didn't you? But, well, fair play. Undercover work, infiltration work is not for the faint of heart. Well, Can you give us any other information about Irvana, Spellstar, or the crypt here? Anything that might help us? And, I mean, do you want to join us? Quintus leans over the edge of the sepulchre and looks down towards Plink. Well, maybe I should stay here and be a backup in case anybody runs through trying to escape. We've already let one of them go, and while killing them is not the main goal, it's probably better not to let any escape. So I'm still not feeling 100%. How about you guys go ahead and I'll wait here. In terms of what's ahead of you, I don't really know. The brief glimpse I got through the other door as the others went through was a more, and he looks around, definitely a more run-down kind of space. This crypt is, I don't know, it's an okay condition. Definitely looked a little bit ruinous on the other side. Oh, and there were, let me see, there was Irvana and 3 other cultists. So that's what you're facing, assuming that they haven't managed to pull something through a portal already. Plink reaches up a hand and pats Quintus on the shoulder. Okay then, you stay here, lad. We'll take care of this. We're starting to get the hang of this whole adventuring thing. And with that, she goes over and starts to loot the body, looking for any keepsakes or treasure. I'm going to roll on the Oracle to see whether this corpse does have anything of value on it. And I think it's 50-50 odds, so we're just going to do a straight roll. That, there's so many things in the way here. That is an 8. So unfortunately there's nothing on the body. Plink, half in disgust. Not a brass razoo. Well, let's get on then, you two. Quintus, you stay here. We'll carry on and see if we can't bring this Irvana to some kind of justice. Perhaps summary justice. Just kidding, of course. Well, maybe not. Anyway, let's go. With that, the 3 of them make their way to the door at the back of the room here, pushing past the bedraggled red curtains that fall from the ceiling above. As the 3 of them get to the door, Etch stops and turns, looking over his shoulder towards Quintus. My friend Quintus, tell me, is the door locked or trapped? Did you see Irvana doing anything in terms of trying to get through the door? Any secrets that we should know about? Quintus, rubbing his head again, looks back. I just saw him go through it. I don't think it's locked, but I guess you just have to push it and see. Okay, my friend. Well, I guess I can't blame you. That knock on the head was a real doozy. All right, let's try it. Plink, I'm going to try this time, okay? Just in case it's trapped. Let me take a look. So let's roll on the Oracle here and see if the door is in fact trapped. I'm going to give it even odds. So a straight roll and a 12, that's a yes. Okay. Etch gets up close to the door and looks along the seams, looking under the door jamb, around all the seams, the sides, the top. As he's looking along the bottom and under the door, he hisses, and drawing a thin piece of metal out of his backpack, he slides it under the door, sliding it backwards and forwards until he feels it catch on something. He wiggles the piece a little bit, and there's a faint sound of a click. I think that's done it, my friends. Well, why don't you back away and I'll try the door. And with that, let's roll to see whether Etch was in fact able to disarm the trap. Again, a straight roll. And 11. So 11 plus his dexterity modifier, which is 4, is a 15. That's a pretty good roll. So it looks like he has been successful. Etch brings his hands up and gently pushes on the door. It resists at first, but suddenly it starts to move, and he pulls his hands away, allowing it to move slowly, and then guiding them back to push it further. He quickly steps back. But it seems like he was successful, and the trap has been disarmed. Well, that was a close one. Quintus, just to let you know, my friend, the door is in fact trapped. Or it was trapped. It's not any longer. Now I'm going to take a moment to have a quick look at the adventure itself and see what the space in front of our trio of adventurers looks like. Etch can't see much as the space beyond the doorway is dark, and he turns to Humble and asks her to use her magic to light a torch. So Humble is going to use the cantrip Produce Flame to create a light on the end of her staff. Now with 10 feet of bright light in either direction and another 10 feet of dim light, and Humble slowly moving behind him, he moves into this new room. I'm going to read the little piece of descriptive text here from the adventure. This section of the catacombs seems to be much older than the chamber behind them. A once curving 10-foot high corridor, its workstone's walls have long since crumbled and collapsed to more closely resemble a natural cavern. Aside from the flame flickering at the end of Humble's staff, all is dark. Let's have Etch roll a perception check, and we'll do one for Humble too. So we'll roll 2 d20s and see what they are able to notice. So we have a 14 on the black die, which is Etch's die, and a 6 on the purple die, which is Humble's. So Humble seems focused on keeping the light steady above and behind Etch so that he can see clearly. So Etch's total there would have been a dirty 20, 14 plus a 6 to his perception from his perception skill. Etch, looking around at the walls, notices that there are faint and faded paintings. The paint chipped and cracked and with no luster left in it. He sees one image that stands out a little more clearly. A robed figure sitting on a throne floats over the top of the city of arches. Strangely, the face of the robed figure is blacked out. He goes over to take a closer look. So they are moving in, and this is where the painting that Etch has noticed is. Plink is going to move in and stay a little further back than the other two. Humble is going to keep holding that flame over Etch's shoulder so that he can see more clearly. Etch looks up. Curious, my friends. I wonder why the face of this robed figure has been blackened like this. Strange. So I'm going to roll on the Oracle to see if Etch tries to do anything, tries to like clean the face or the soot or whatever this black substance is off the face. I don't really know. He's a cautious one, but I think I'm going to roll this with even odds, so 50-50, just a single die. So does he try to wipe the face of this robed figure in the painting? That is a 17, so yes he does. So reaching up a hand and grabbing onto his sleeve, he starts wiping that blackened area. All of a sudden, he feels heat as a burst of flame comes out of the painting in front of him. So we're going to roll a dexterity saving throw here and see whether he is able to avoid the damage from this flame. That is, oh, it was closer there. Maybe that was better. That is another 17. So that is a success. Humble feels the heat of that flame and looks down to see Etch rolling backwards across the floor and popping up behind her. What, Etch, are you okay? That flame, did it get you? That was a close one. Yeah, I don't know about this place. We should keep our eyes out because there are all manner of traps and bugaboos down here, no doubt. Because Humble is closer to the walls here, I'm going to have her look around and roll some kind of check. I'm going to have her roll some kind of... She would be taking a look at the walls and the paintings, and I'm going to see if she would recognize anything or be able to pick out any information from the remnants of the paintings on the walls. So that's going to be a history check. Let's see how she does. Oh, a 19. Okay, great. So now I'm going to go back to the published adventure and find out what information the paintings hold. Humble's history modifier is -1, so that brings the roll down to, or that brings the total down to 18. However, still good enough to get, I would say, a couple of pieces of information. And the adventure provides us with 3 pieces of information here. So I'm going to say that she learns 2 of these pieces, and I'm just going to choose the first 2. In times past, the many archways in the city of archers opened to numerous worlds, some pleasant and some terrifying. A key was required to open any arch, taking the form of a dagger, a necklace, a mask, or some other magically empowered item. Okay, cool. So Humble's learned a little bit here about the city of archers. Humble relays this information to Etch and Plink, sounding quite excited about this new knowledge that she has stumbled across. And following that, Etch is going to move back into the lead and gesture forward towards the far end of the cavern. The question I have for the Oracle now is, after that near miss with the flame, is Etch continuing to be cautious and wary, or did it shake him up enough that he is kind of off his game slightly and has forgotten to be looking around? So again, I'm going to go with 50-50. Etch is a really cautious and wary guy. So, but you know, I recognize that having kind of flames burst out at you and having to roll out of the way might make even a wary person a little bit forgetful in the moment. So let's roll that check. That's a natural 1. If you are familiar with Dungeons and Dragons and many other systems that are adjacent to Dungeons and Dragons 5e, you will know that a natural 1 means a catastrophic failure. So essentially, the way that I'm reading this is that Etch is distracted, thinking back about the near miss with that flame from the painting, and so he's not paying attention as he moves further into the cavern. Let's roll on the Oracle again and see if there is a trap within this section of tunnel itself. I'm going to say that the odds are pretty high that it's pretty likely, because there was a trap on the door. It seems like these cultists have an abundance of caution. So I'm going to roll with disadvantage here. Sorry, I'm going to roll with advantage, as the question I'm asking is, is there, or are there any more traps in the tunnel? Rolling with advantage for a yes answer. We get a 12 and a 3, so that means there is another trap. Etch. Eyes still a little bit off from that burst of flame that he rolled away from. Continues to move with Humble just 5 feet behind him, and up ahead on the left sees another door. Let's take a quick look at the map again so that you can get a sense of what the characters are seeing. So the characters are now most of the way through this tunnel and are just heading towards the door that's on the left. I'm going to take a look at the adventure again because I'm pretty sure there is a trap here. I didn't look into the details of it, but that word trap did catch my eye as I glanced through the adventure earlier today. So let me take a look and see what kind of trap this is, as it seems like Etch is bumbling straight towards it. This is interesting. Etch, moving forward, suddenly feels a light pressure against his left leg as he takes a step. He doesn't even get a chance to look down. He just hears a click, click, as the triggers are depressed on 2 crossbows that are hidden further into the chamber. Okay, so we are going to roll here to see if these crossbow bolts hit. And I'm going to roll 2 die because there's 2 crossbows. It's a +5 to hit. So, and I think they're both going to be targeted towards Etch. We got a 17 and an 11. Okay, the 17 definitely hits, and the 11 +5 is 16. So let me just check Etch's character sheet to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that hits. I think his AC is 15. Oh no, both of them hit. Etch's AC is 15, so the first one hits with a 17 +5, 22, and the second one also hits with a 11 +5, 16. Okay, so these 2 bolts fly through the darkness, and he barely has a warning as they move into the torchlight and then hit him, like one in the shoulder and one in the low abdomen, and he drops down to a knee. Let's roll the damage and see how badly wounded Etch is. So it's 1d8 per bolt. So I'm going to roll the d8, which I've only got one of right here, twice. That is a 4, and that is a 2, 6 damage. Okay, let me write this up here. Etch has 11 maximum hit points here, so he is now down to 5 HP. Struggling to his feet, his hands holding the bolts, blood oozing and running down his chest. Etch looks up at Humble. Now might be a good time for some healing, Humble. Please, quickly. And with that, Humble's eyes wide open, she rushes over to him and lays her hands on his skin, casting Cure Wounds. 1d8 +4. Let's hope for a good one. 5 + 4, 9. Okay, perfect. That brings him back to his full 11 HP. As the cool radiance of the healing spell washes over Etch, he looks down and the bolts slowly push out of his skin and drop with a clatter to the floor. Rubbing those newly healed spots. Thank you very much, Humble. Your skills are always welcome. Thank you. Well, I'm going to look around and check for more traps, just in case that wasn't the last one. And with that, Etch is going to start looking around. Plink wanders up at this point, and she is going to help him look around. So with the two of them looking, I'm going to roll 2 dice on a perception check to see if they're able to spot any other traps or anything else in this room. A 7 and a 3. Okay, 7 was Etch's, 3 was Plink's. So Plink doesn't see anything. However, Etch is it's a +6 to his perception, so he gets a 13. He moves around the upper end of the cavern and finds 2 crossbows that are hidden under some sort of tarpaulin, some sort of fabric to make them harder to see. It doesn't find any other signs of traps that might be untriggered. He looks over at the other 2. My friends, it seems that these were the only 2. I guess I just got lucky, huh? I can laugh about it now, but I hope that doesn't happen again. And he makes his way to the door, waving Humble on over to bring the light closer. Now, one thing that occurs to me is that with the firing of crossbows and the talking going on in this cavern, there is a pretty good chance that they could be overheard. So I'm going to roll on the Oracle with likely odds, and see if they have been heard, see if our adventurers have been heard by the cultists that may be in the next room. Let's see what happens. All right, we got a 19 and 12, so 2 successes. So they have definitely heard. I wonder what this causes them to do. What I think is likely is that a couple of them will run out through the door and attack the figures here, while the others will continue to do whatever they're doing in that room, assuming that they're there, of course. So let's ask the Oracle another question. Do some of the cultists choose to run out and attack the players in the trapped cavern? And again, I think this is pretty likely, so I'm rolling with advantage, or rolling 2 d20s. We got a 19 and a 20. Using SoloDark, when you roll a natural 20, this is a critical success. And this means it's the most extreme version of the result that's possible. So I'm going to say that that probably all of the cultists, perhaps minus Irvana, Spellstar, are going to run out here and attack them. And I believe that was 3 cultists, as described by Quintus. All of a sudden, the door that Etch is standing in front of bursts open, and 3 cultists try to pile through the door together, swinging madly at whatever they see on the other side of the door, which happens to be our heroes. So again, with our group initiative system, we are going to compare the dexterity of each of the groups, and we know that our adventurers have a +3 modifier. Etch has a +3 modifier to his dexterity. So, and we also know that the cultists have a +1. So once again, our heroes get to go first. Etch isn't caught by surprise as the door in front of him suddenly swings open, luckily opening inwards, meaning that he has a split second to prepare himself as the first of the cultists charges through the door towards him, swinging a curved scimitar and screaming. Quickly jot down some combat notes. The cultist runs towards Etch, but Etch acts first. Let's see if he's successful on his attack. Yes, that is a natural 20. Okay, fantastic. So natural 20 means we get to roll 2 damage die, and as usual add his dexterity modifier, which is a +4. So 2d6 +4. Alright, okay, 11 + 4. That is a 15 total. Sweeping his curved blade downwards and then across the abdomen of the cultist in front of him. He steps aside as the cultist stumbles forward and blood bursts from the torso, entrails like spilling onto the floor and tangling as he slips, falls, and slides across the floor. Okay, awesome. So Etch just took that cultist down in one hit. Humble and Plink see this figure like drop to the ground, their insides spilling out onto the floor. Humble looks a little put off. Plink takes it in stride. She takes a few steps to the side, draws an arrow, and shoots at the next figure in the doorway. That is a 14. So a 14 plus 5. So 14 plus 5 is 19, mental math. And so her shot is successful. She had stepped to the side there. Her shot is successful. She doesn't get sneak attack because Etch is too far away. But we're going to roll this. 4 plus 3 is 7. The look on her face is satisfied as she sees her arrow sprout from the upper left chest of that cultist, rushing through the door behind its now dead companion. Alright, so I'm going to cross out that first cultist who is dead, and it was 7 for the second cultist. And that second cultist is looking very wobbly now. The scream that they were producing as they charged forward, suddenly gurgling off and turning into like a whimper as they like clutch towards the arrow sticking out of their chest. That is the end of her turn, so it brings us to Humble, the last one of our party. Humble looking on in horror and some disgust at the figure at her feet, is torn about what to do. Suddenly her face changes and a small smile quirks her lips as it seems her indecision has ended. She steps to the side, around behind Etch, and slightly out of view of the cultists charging through the door. She then looks down at the cultist lying on the floor, and all of a sudden changes. Now, a cultist stands behind Etch. A rather tall cultist, but a cultist nonetheless. She quickly whispers, "Etch, don't be started now, but I've disguised myself. I'm gonna see if I can slip into that room if the rest of those cultists come through the doorway." And with that, she moves in beside Etch and waits. So the cultists get their turn next, and it's now obvious that even with the shouts and clash of blades going on, that in the background there is some kind of voice that is intoning words, maybe of a magical nature, but none of the characters are able to focus on this. They're too busy dealing with the situation at hand. The cultist who was up next and has that arrow sprouting of its chest is going to move in and attack. He's going to move in and attack Etch. So let's see what they get. That is a 7. That's a 7 plus 3, so 10 total. That is not going to be enough to hit Etch. They slash towards Etch, but Etch just elegantly steps aside and lets the blade slide past. The other cultist, moving at the back, is going to try and sidle alongside its companion and slash towards Etch as well. So let's see. Okay, an 8 plus 3, 11. That also doesn't hit. Now, there is another room here that these cultists are coming out of, and Irvana Spellstar, it seems, is in there, as she is the one that's chanting these magical words. So let's see if... So I'm not sure if she is able to take part in this battle, because I think that she's focused on whatever it is that she's doing in there. But let's check the adventure to be sure. Okay, it looks like she is in the process of completing a ritual that will open the portal that is in this room. Now, I've also noticed that there are certain things that happen each round of combat in this situation. So as this is round 1, the chanting is occurring in that other room. So we've already kind of covered that. And round 2, we'll get to that when we've completed the next round. Etch, having skillfully avoided the attacks of the cultists, now presses his attack. That is a 3 that is going to miss. Yeah, 3 plus 6 is 9. That's not enough. Three plus 6 is 9. That's not enough to hit the cultists. He slashes, but the cultists, now that there are 2 of them surrounding him, seem to coordinate their movements better and manage to avoid his attack. Plink, realizing there's an opportunity here to cause a little more damage, is going to step back away from the fray, and she is going to fire at the cultist that she had already hit, hoping to take him out of the fight. And this time, because Etch is within 5 feet of that cultist, she is going to get to roll her sneak attack if it hits. That is a 6. That is probably not going to hit. I think 6 plus 5 is 11. Their AC is 12, so that is going to miss. Unfortunate. She curses under her breath as her arrow flies wide, going through the doorway and hitting the wall in the room on the other side. That brings us to Humble. Humble, in her attempt at subterfuge, is going to try and convince the cultist to her right that she is needing to go in and protect Urbana Spellstar. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use her turn, her action, to roll a persuasion check on that cultist to see if she can convince him to move out of the way so that she can go back to guarding Urbana. Now I'm going to roll with advantage because she looks the part. She looks like one of the cultists. So I think in the heat of battle, that's going to give her some advantage to her persuasion check. Let's see if that happens. That's a 7 and an 8. Okay, not great rolls. Let me check her persuasion. Oof. Okay, her persuasion is -1. She makes eye contact with the cultist in the doorway. Friend, let me get past so that I can protect Urbana Spellstar. The cultist, barely taking its eyes off Etch, who seems to be the danger right in front of him, says, "If we finish them here, then we won't need to protect Urbana. We'll protect them right here. Go ahead then. Go ahead then and attack. What are you standing talking for?" And with that, they are going to attack Etch. 7 plus 3, 10. That is not going to hit. The other one is also going to attack Etch. An 18. Okay, 18 plus 3, 21 total. That is definitely going to hit. So we are rolling 1d6 here. Yes, 1d6 plus 1 slashing damage. That is a 3, so 4 total. And Etch takes a slash across his shoulder and upper chest. He winces and hisses in pain, bringing his blade up just a trifle too slow to deflect the cultist's scimitar. With Etch now bleeding from the shoulder, it is back to his turn. but we do need to check what is happening in that second round of combat according to the adventure. So it seems that Irvana's spell is getting close to fruition, and that something is on the other side of the portal, as a large pair of eyes are seen peering out of the shadows swirling within the portal's perimeter. Any creature who starts their turn within 30 feet of the arch, which holds the portal, needs to succeed on DC 10 charisma saving throw or take psychic damage. Now, let's take a look at the map so you can get a sense of where exactly this is happening. So the hexagonal shaped room here is the room that has the arch in it, and Irvana is standing in front of the arch, north side, shall we say, of that dais in the middle there. She's looking at the arch and chanting, so she is definitely within 30 feet of the arch, but it looks like everybody that's out in the cavern adjacent or leading into the hexagonal shaped room are not within 30 feet. Irvana is going to be the only one affected here. So let's roll to see if she succeeds on the charisma saving throw to avoid that damage. That is a 13, so yes, the DC here was 10, so she saves. No damage is caused. Alright, coming back to the combat in front of us. It is now Etch's turn. So Etch is going to keep doing what he does best and attack. He's going to keep attacking the wounded cultist in front of him. That is a 2, a horrible miss. Okay, so Etch stumbles as he goes to take that next slash and completely misses. As a bonus action, Etch is going to let out a cry. This is known as Draconic Cry, and all of a sudden this cry bursts from low in his throat and echoes through the clash and clamor of this battle. Now, Draconic Cry is going to give advantage to any of his allies that are within 10 feet of him and on any enemies that are within 10 feet of him. So this is only going to help for Humble. I'm not sure if this is going to be useful, but it's better than nothing. So let's see if that ends up being of help or not. That brings us to Plink's turn. Plink is going to just shift slightly and line up another shot with her bow. She is going to focus on that same, yes, that's a hit. Okay, 15. She's going to focus on that same person, so her arrow flies true this time, and we are going to get a sneak attack because of Etch's position. So let's roll 2d6 and then add plus 3. Okay, so it is 7 plus 3, that's 10, so that is going to, that is going to take our cultist here down. Another arrow joins the one sticking out of this cultist's chest, and he stumbles back and drops backwards. He is now out of the fight, and this opens the doorway. And so I'm wondering here whether Humble is going to go through the doorway and continue with the subterfuge that she was attempting, or whether she is going to take advantage of the Draconic Cry, which she would recognize and know that Etch had given her an ability to make him, or make it more likely that she would have a successful attack. But I think that she's going to stick with the ruse of being a cultist. So let's ask the Oracle, and I think it's very likely here that that's what she's going to do. So is Humble going to continue with the subterfuge and try and slide past through the doorway and make her way to Irvana Spellstar? Okay, we got a 10 and a 13. Because we rolled the 13 here, which is the higher of the rolls, that's a straight yes. She is going to like move into the other room. She's going to skirt the wall slightly until she can see Irvana clearly, and she is going to then, she's used up her 2 first level spells, so she's just going to fall back on Produce Flame and try to hit Ivana with that burning attack. We now have Humble in that room, and so she is going to cast Produce Flames. Here goes a ranged spell attack, 10 plus 6, 16. That definitely hits. Okay, strong hit there. This ends the disguise spell that Humble had cast on herself. So she suddenly appears in her true form here as the spell triggers, and the flame appears on top of Irvana's Spellstar. Quick note, the ability to cast Disguise Self is a Firbolg trait, something that is related to her ancestry as a Firbolg. Okay, so we are going to roll a 1d8 and see what we get here. 3. Now, because Ivana has taken damage, her concentration on the spell will have wavered. She'll have to use her action to restart the ritual, and she will then be concentrating again. So the ritual has been disrupted, but it is now the cultist's turn. The cultist in front of Etch hears Irvana cry out in pain as the flames burn around her and disrupt her ritual. I think that he is probably going to like run in and try and protect her, as it seems like she is now in the most danger. But let's roll on the Oracle to see. I'm going to roll with advantage here again because I think that's really likely. They're going to want to protect her in order that that ritual be successful. Let's see what happens. Okay, 14 and 17. Alright, 17, that's a success. So he is going to break away and charge into the room to protect Irvana. That gives Etch an attack of opportunity, so let's see if he's able to capitalize on that. That is a 9 plus 6 is 15. Okay, that is a success. Alright, so he is going to slash at them as they turn their back on him, and that's a 6. Yes, great roll. Okay, 6 plus 4. Okay, that's a great amount of damage. That's 10 total. So they have 9 HP, so that just like destroys that cultist. Etch like slashes down the cultist's back, and the cultist drops to the floor in front of him. Now the question on my mind is, does Irvana try to restart the ritual or deal with the enemies that are at her back? She doesn't actually know what the situation is because she's facing the archway. I think that she is probably going to start the ritual up again using her action, but I think I'm going to roll 50-50 here. So, so just one die. 13. Okay, so that is a success. So she is going to use her action to start the ritual, and our heroes hear this chanting start up again. She's got a deep voice. So that's the end of Irvana's turn. Let me check the adventure and see if this has an impact on those effects that are occurring each round. Checking the adventure again, I may have messed up here. It looks like during that first round when the chanting is occurring, the cultists have advantage on attack rolls and saving throws. So, oops, I messed that up. Anyway, let's carry on. Because this is round 1 of the ritual, we're going to say that Irvana now has advantage. She's not attacking low, but she does have advantage on saving throws. I think I know what our character is going to do. It's Etch's turn. He is going to sprint in and try to attack Irvana. So this is what things now look like. An archway set with gold leaf stands against the north wall of this worked stone chamber, shadows swirling within it. The ceiling here is 15 feet high. Torches and iron sconces fill the chamber with bright light. Ivana, up at the archway with the Obsidian Skull in her hand raised. As she starts up and continues her ritual again. Humble over on the far side of the room, and Etch in the doorway. Plink is out of sight right now as she is back in that cavern. It's Etch's turn, however, so he is going to use his movement to get as close as he can to Ivana. While he is a shorter species, being a kobold, kobolds actually get 30 feet of movement, which is really cool. That is a movement that is typically characteristic of a larger or medium-sized humanoid. Etch is going to sprint forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just makes it in range. He is going to continue his attack on the cultists by attacking Ivana, seeing if he can disrupt her concentration once again. That is a 10 plus 6 is 16, and her armor class is 13, I believe. Yes, armor class 13, so that hits. He's going to disrupt the ritual, and he is also going to get to roll some damage here. That is a 2. 2 plus 4 is 6, so we'll change her HP over here. And she feels this one. The flame that Humble had cast on her barely registered, aside from the fact that it had disrupted the spell. This one, however, this slash across her back causes her to stumble and damn it! And she looks over to see Etch at her elbow, a fang-toothed grin splayed across his face. All right. Next is going to be Humble, so she is going to use her movement 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 to get into the room and fire off a shot at Ivana's back. That is a crappy roll. That is a 6 plus 5 is 11. That's not going to hit, so that's a failure. And Humble is going to move a little further into the room, and she is going to cast Produce Flame once again. So a ranged attack here. Ooh, can you guys see that? That's cocked. It was either going to be a 13 or a 1. I'm going to re-roll. Hopefully that's okay with everybody, but I'm going to do it anyway. That is a 10. 10 plus 6, 16. That one is going to hit. So we get our D8 again. That wasn't a good roll, but it's a 2. Sorry, might not be able to see that. So that's a 2. So another 2 damage. It's not much, although it did look like it was enough to send Ivana tipping backwards. So a small amount of damage, but damage nonetheless. Ivana's concentration has been broken once again, with both of these attacks hitting her in this round. I just don't know. I mean, I think that her real objective here is to open the portal, but she keeps getting hit. So I'm gonna just roll on the Oracle again, see and ask, is she going to start up the ritual like once again? Let's see what the Oracle says. Straight roll. A 3. No, she's not. Okay, so with that last strike, she turns around, and an angry look on her face, a furious look on her face. She turns to face our trio of heroes, and muttering under her breath, she seems to prepare a spell. Cradling the Obsidian Skull gently in one arm, she uses her other hand to gesture and points towards Etch. Etch is the most obvious danger here. And she says, grovel. Alright, Etch is going to have to do a wisdom saving throw here, a spell save. The DC is 11, so let's roll this. Oh, wrong D20. Let's roll this. That is a 13. He saves. Fantastic. Etch, holding his blade at the ready, shakes his head, spits to the side. You'll have to do much better than that if you want to command me. And that brings it back to his turn. He is going to attack. Let's keep... Yes! Natural 20. Okay. That is a great time for a natural 20. So he is going to slash across the front of Irvana here. Not very good rolls. We got a 3 and a 1. So 4 plus 4 is 8. Okay, that's not too bad, but not as much as I had hoped. Okay. With those blows, while they don't cause like too much damage, the damage that Ivana has been taking suddenly seems to start catching up with her as she steps back and wobbles slightly. She's now like panting with the exertion of staying on her feet. Okay, that is going to bring us to Plink's turn. Plink is going to attack with the bow because that's what she loves to do. A 14 plus 5, 19. Okay, that's definitely going to hit, and she gets sneak attack. So 2d6s. Okay, 4. Wow, these damage die are not like my friends at the moment. So 4 plus 3, that is 7. Not a bad attack there. And the already unstable Irvana staggers again, and glances back over her shoulder at the archway and the portal that had previously been developing there, but is now just like a blank stone wall. A look of real concern and even fear flashes across her face. Humble's gonna produce flame again. Let's see if it hits. That is a 19 plus. Yeah, okay, that's gonna hit. So that's a 1d8. Okay, 6 this time. Not bad. I'm knocking things about over here. Okay, 6 as the flame from Humble's spell suddenly appears around her shoulders and upper body and starts to burn her. She lets out a scream and she staggers, her clothes smoldering. She is looking very damaged now, but it is her turn. I think she's going to continue to attack, as it seems like she's not going to be able to get this ritual done because of how many attacks she's absorbing here. So she is going to cast another spell. So this time she is going to go more defensive, and she's going to cast Shield of Faith, giving her a +2 to her AC. So her AC is now up to 15, making her harder to hit. But this is also a concentration spell, meaning that she has to maintain that concentration. This spell is also a bonus action, so she is going to get an attack here. A wicked smile comes onto Irvana's face, and she reaches out towards Etch, casting Inflict Wounds. Alright, she is going to... That's an 8. Let me check what her spellcasting modifier is, as I'm not sure if that's going to hit or not. Etch's AC is 15, so that's what she needs to beat. Her plus to hit with spell attacks is a +3, so that's going to give her a total of 11 on that roll, and that is not enough to hit Etch. He just narrowly avoids that. That would have been a big one, because that is 3d10 necrotic damage. Wow, he really dodged a bullet there. That is going to bring us back to Etch's turn. She has not started the ritual again, so there are no effects on those rounds. And let's see if Etch can 4. That's not gonna do it. Sorry, Etch. Okay, bringing us to Plink. Plink is going to roll a 10 plus 5. Yeah, 10 plus 5 is 15. That just meets her AC because her AC is 15 right now. Plink reaches into her quiver, pulls out an arrow, lines up the shot, and releases. The arrow whistles across the room. And let's see what the damage is. 1d6 plus 3, 7 damage. Over the top of Etch's head, the arrow whistles past and all of a sudden sprouts in one of Irvana's eye sockets. She reaches out, trying to maybe cast a last spell in vengeance on Etch, and then she drops. Let's quickly see if Etch is able to reach out and catch the Obsidian Skull before Ivana and the skull hit the floor. So I'm going to roll a dexterity check here. That is a 9. 9 plus, I believe it's 9 plus 4. Yeah, I would say that given his position, I would say that the DC here would have been kind of like 12. So I think he's able to make that. So as she drops, he quickly reaches out his hands and catches the Obsidian Skull before it can drop to the floor and potentially shatter. He looks down at it. Well, my friends, wow, what a shot, Plink. Looks like we are successful, yes? Well, praises. Everybody okay? And he looks around. Humble and Plink both nod. Plink wearing a big grin on her face at this display of marksmanship that she has just shown. And that, folks, pretty much brings us to the end of the adventure. Plink, Humble, and Etch will need to decide what they do with the Obsidian Skull, but they have been successful in rescuing Quintus and also killing Irvana Spellstar and stopping her from opening the portal. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of our adventure for today. I just want to plug one more time, download the preview of the City of Arches sourcebook. And if you like what you see, and I'm sure you will, because this is Mike Shea's usual quality product here, then please support the Kickstarter. Thanks for joining us today, and hopefully we'll see you again real soon.